name is Amanda, and I am a crisis intervention specialist for Denton County Friends of the Family. Now, we know that something as simple as picking up a phone to call and ask for help can be a barrier for victims of domestic violence because not everyone has a safe and secure place to call and ask. Especially now with the increased isolation caused by COVID-19, we know people in our community need our help but don't have a place to safely call. That's why, starting today, we are introducing our Denton County Friends of the Family Crisis Text Line. A person in need can text our crisis number 940-382-7273 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to receive help from our staff. People can text us to ask information about our services, receive help from our services, or just general information. Both our crisis line and our new text line are available and monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and both can be accessed at 940-382-7273. Now, if you're watching this, we need your help. This is a brand new service offered from Denton County Friends of the Family, and we need your help spreading the word to our community so we can help as many people as we can. Please, if you can, share on your social media pages, leave a comment, and just help us out.
Tony Johnson Simpson here. Welcome to our celebration of our 40th year of services to Denton County. I'm the very proud executive director here at Denton County Friends of the Family, and I welcome you, and I'm so grateful for each of you joining us here today in this very unique setting, our very first virtual gala. And what a way to celebrate 40 years that we can bring technology and services and our community together on this very special and unique occasion. I've been here at Friends of the Family for 15 years. What a journey it's been. I have to say some of my most memorable times have really been when I've had the opportunity to engage with our donors, our volunteers, our clients, and with the members of our clients' families. I remember my first year or two here, a woman called me and her daughter had come in for services. She was a very young woman who had been involved in a relationship. She got married right out of college, and her husband had come here to Denton to be a minister for a youth group. And they had two very small children pretty quickly, and she had been horribly abused. A volunteer of ours was a member of their congregation, had gone through our volunteer training, and saw the signs and went and talked to this young woman. And so the woman came in for services with the help of the volunteer, and later her mom called me after the young woman stayed in our shelter. We helped her to relocate and get back to her family, and her mom said, I want to thank you. She said, I planned for so many things in her life. I planned for her very first day of kindergarten. I planned for her high school graduation. I planned for her college graduation, and I planned for her wedding. But I never planned that there would be a day where my daughter needed services that your agency provided. And she said, you were there for her at a time and did something for her that I could not do. And I think for me, that was one of those times that really resonated with me, the impact that we get to have on people's lives. Not just that young woman, her two young children that stayed in our shelter and had counseling, and that we helped to relocate to her family, but really also the ripple effect of her mother, who felt very hopeless. I have two daughters. I hope that they never need the services of Friends of the Family. But if they do, I'm glad that we're here. And I know that they'll be met with compassion and understanding, and that they will be greeted with non-judgment. I thank all of you for joining us, for being a part of this journey with us. We oftentimes, I say, we get the benefit of seeing what Santa Claus really is, because people give to us to help us to support people in their journey to healing without ever having to know the names, the faces of the people that they help and they serve. I thank you. And I thank you for joining us here tonight. And I hope that you will find this journey that we're about to take through videography and technology as meaningful as the impact you've had on people's lives. We could have started this in 1980 if there weren't a group of people who were courageous enough to do this work. So I pass it off to those who were here long before I, Dr. Fran Dennis, who was the original executive director, and some of the founding members of Denton County Friends of the Family. Enjoy.
But I'm Fran Dennis, and it was my honor to be the first executive director. And I just wanted to make sure that we all understood that what happened in Denton did not happen in a vacuum. That there was a movement called the Battered Women's Movement that had been started in this country. I have to tell you that I found case files back to 1978. So Denton was providing services back 1978. The first meeting of the Texas Council of Family Violence was held. There were 6 shelters who were present, and Denton was present.
Well, I'm Carla Crisford, and I guess formally I became the first chairperson of the board. We hired Fran, and then they said, okay, we're turning this over to you guys that will no longer be associated with our advisory board. Y'all are on your own. You get to start your own organization. And Fran and I kind of got wide-eyed. And I look at Fran as the guiding force in this. We did it together, but honestly, she was the one. She went out and found the little house that was our first shelter. We had this $20,000. she and I hit the ground running, and we hit every place you could speak and ask for money. But what we decided, this was what I remember the finances. With this $20,000, we eventually got about 3,000 more by going around and hitting all these organizations for money. So 23,000 we knew was our budget for the first year. And then we had money for paying the rent and the utilities. And that was it. It was bare bones we were running.
Oh, Nancy tells me I'm going to get a call from Fran, and Fran calls and says, I think we can approach the Razors about buying this house for us. And I thought, well, that's fine. Who are you going to get to do that? And the reason she was calling me was that felt like I'd be the one to go and talk to her along with Fran. And I didn't know the Razors, of course. I knew of them, and they met with the Razor, and we made our presentation. Fran, knew the facts of what was going on. I had some idea of how it could be an advantage for taxes and other things from the legal standpoint. And so we got through that. And my memory is that Razor leaned back at that point and said, what house are you thinking would be good for us to buy? And so, oh yeah, the Preston homestead. And
but a local lawyer owned it at the time, and he sold it, and Razor paid the money for it.
And so when I arrived, things were up and coming, and so we started a volunteer program, which really wasn't very hard to do at that point in time. This wonderful Denton community with all of these organizations, and the predominance of the women's movement, and all of the publicity that was coming in nationwide about the need for shelters and programs for battered women. And so we had lots of volunteers. I remember in particular, I've forgotten a lot, but I remember this one little girl who was a resident there with her mom, and they'd have to leave with only the clothes on their back. And it was close to Christmas time, and there was a donated dress that was just her size, that was a little velvet dress with a pinafore. And she put that dress on and showed it to her mom, and we all stood around and really admired how pretty she looked. Remember those kind of moments that came from all the community support we had and the donations in the garage the women could access. So that was really neat. And out of volunteer program too, eventually our children's program began. So lots began to happen.
Now, I remember my husband Bill and I taking furniture to the house and thinking, when I tell people now that it was in a little house with no protection, they're just, what, they were just scared to death. And were we scared? I don't think so.
No, you're ignorant.
I would take these women to court, and I'm a tall woman. I'm nearly 6 foot tall, and the men would come to the courthouse, and they'd come in like they're real tough, but they're about 6 inches shorter than I am, and they're looking up at me, and they realize I'm their wife's attorney, and I would see the fear in their eyes. These are men that are basically frightened men who then become bullies to mask, I think. But yeah, I saw that. I kind of enjoyed it back then. I've got to admit, I kind of enjoyed being someone that could scare them a little bit. I don't feel that in my heart today because I've worked on a lot of spiritual stuff. But I did enjoy it, kind of.
And I say to folks, everything I've learned started when I worked at Friends of the Family. That job led me to 3 other jobs at the shelter. Now, of course, as an employee there, even though you had a title, you did everything. It didn't matter if you were the executive director or the volunteer. If you happen to walk in the door at a time when it was an emergency or there were so many needs that needed to be met, you really just did whatever you needed to get done. And that was the beautiful thing about working for the shelter at that time. We really had folks that were really passionate and had a lot of purpose and desire to help women and children at that time. And they were ready. They stood ready to do whatever was needed. So after I was the deep night weekend house manager, I was later hired after I got my degree as the case manager, and I worked with battered women for 3 years. And that was such an eye-opening experience, given that I came from such a sheltered background. But I then became it was the director of volunteer services and community outreach.
Oh, yeah.
And I really enjoyed that work because it really provided me an opportunity to do work out in the community. And being the social butterfly that I am, I so enjoyed my continued work with all the organizations that are so vital to ensure that children and families who are in abusive situations were able to leave and really sustain their freedom. You know, it gave us an opportunity to work with district attorneys, law enforcement, hospitals, social and civic organizations, fraternities, sororities. In that second role, I did bring in the interns from both TWU and North Texas State. So we had a lot of interns at that time, social work students, of course, sociology students, students who were really interested in an internship that was going to provide them a really well-rounded experience. So I got a chance to supervise those students. It's just amazing how when if we could just draw a roadmap, it would really be so interesting to see and so intricate to see all the work and all the hands that have really touched the organization. And I'm really so proud that you all have never changed the name. I don't even know if that's ever been a conversation, but I'm really thankful that the name changed. The name has never changed, and it's always been Denton County Friends of the Family. That I think is really pretty special.
Hi, this is State Representative Michelle Beckley, and I am just here to wish the Denton County Friends of the Family a happy 40th anniversary. And we have a resolution from the state of Texas.
Thank you so much for joining us for our virtual gala tonight. My name is Lori Nelson. I'm the Director of Community Engagement here at Friends of the Family. In my role, I have the responsibility of creating relationships with those that refer clients to Friends of the Family for services. In my career, I've had the wonderful blessing of building relationships with our local law enforcement community across Denton County. And now I get to capitalize on those relationships and create education opportunities for law enforcement to learn more about family violence and sexual assault. One of the things that I get to do is to go around to different law enforcement agencies and tell them about experiences our clients have had and ways that we can do this work better together. I get the distinct honor to introduce y'all tonight to Sharice and allow Sharice to tell her story. I think her story highlights the importance of the work that Friends of the Family does and how access to justice through our law enforcement agencies leads families to healing.
Hi, my name is Sharice Orsino on behalf of Denton County Friends of the Family, and this is my story. I grew up in a tragic home life of domestic violence and alcoholism. My parents beat each other up. At the age of 14, I found my father dead on the floor. After that, I had a child at 16, and then my mother was murdered by her abusive boyfriend. That was very tragic, and I wanted a better life for my children and myself. So I worked 2 jobs, graduated school, and went into college. So I met a man, and he promised me the world and the glitz and glamour life that he had to offer that I never had before. After I felt a protection that he could give me that I never had before. But then after the incident of him putting a knife to my throat, didn't feel so protected anymore. We got married, and then we had a child. And once I got pregnant, the violence did stop and the alcoholism did also. As soon as I had my daughter, the drinking came back and the abuse was even worse than it was before. So the safety that I thought I felt in this man was not the true safety that I thought I had. So after having her, she was about 1.5 years old. I came home from school one day and he accused me of things, and he grabbed the back of my head and busted my nose. And she was walking around the corner that day and she was not even 2. And she saw that. And I said to myself, I don't want her to grow up like I did. I don't want her to see these things. And so I left him. But the harassment, the stalking, it still happened. I did divorce him. And then a year later, I did meet a new man, and he was totally different, completely different. He told me how beautiful I was. He just overwhelmed me with showering of love, and he took to my daughter, and it was just a totally different experience from my first husband. So I felt that I could go ahead and lean in and try this experience. But again, after 8 months of being with this man, we were at the pool, enjoying the pool with our friends, and he started beating me in the pool in front of everybody. Punched me in the face. I fell to the ground, hit the rocks. Other people called the police. I did not. And when they came, they did arrest him, and they asked me the story, and I denied, trying to protect him because I didn't want no harm coming to him, because I was in love with him and I felt that it was an accident and it wouldn't happen again. So after that, I let him back in, and I became pregnant with his first son, our first son. So then we were living with his parents for a long time because he just couldn't hold a job and I was pregnant. His parents kicked us out. So my aunt welcomed me in with warm arms to her house in Tennessee. And that's where I found Christ. And our life changed for 16 months. There was no physical violence. I felt like this was truly a place where we needed to be. But unfortunately, I had to move back to Texas. The abuse started again. And he forced me into having sex with him, telling me that God told him that we were supposed to have a child and rape me. And I became pregnant with our last child. The abuse got just horrible. One day when I was pregnant with Genevieve, he punched me in the eye because I was scared of a tornado. And my face was fully swollen. Learning the things I was learning through Christ, I believe that he led me to Denton Friends of the Family. So I heard about Denton Friends of the Family, actually was just driving by. I was just led to drive down to Corinth, and I saw a sign about family. It was a family tree, and it really just caught my eye, so I parked in there. And this was in September of 2017, where I started to seek help to get out of this mess and to seek what we could do with the opportunity that was at hand in the situation that was happening at that time. They moved right on in, and they were so loving and caring, and they started helping. But I didn't know at the time that I truly wasn't ready to fully start to move away from my husband, because there's that trauma bond you have when you're in domestic violence. And like I said, I didn't realize it at the time. So I was asking for help, but then not really fully going through with it until 2018, when I was getting ready for church, and my husband came in my house and he ran after me, strangled me, choked me unconsciously. I was waking up and I was screaming for help. I was scratching and trying to fight my way out of it. And he took my son Giovanni and ran off. And my son had seen all these things that was happening. So I called the cops because what just happened. And at 2 a.m. the night before, he was lurking around my house and drunk, throwing up. And I called the cops and they removed him. So here we are at 8:30 in the morning and he comes in the house again. So I called the cops thinking they were going to help me. They met him first with my son, and supposedly he had all these cuts and scratches and a huge black eye that he said that I did. So when they came to my house, they arrested me for the first time in my life, which was very devastating because it was scary and I didn't understand. I called out for help, but I was the one being arrested. They didn't believe me. I spent 3 days in jail away from my kids. And in that time, he drained my house. He drained my banking account. He took my car. He took my children, which he was not allowed to because there was a order against him from taking my children. So he pawned off my things, took my children, took my car, and left 3 hours away. And not only that being the worst thing, he put a protective order against me. So when I was finally released from jail, when they realized that it wasn't me being the one that was the abuser or person that was forcing the things, they completely dropped the case, and the DA let me go on all the charges. Yes, when I got out of jail, the only family I have is my children, and so I had to go to a shelter. It was cold, didn't have a jacket, didn't have a car. The protective order that he put against me did not allow me to go to my own house, get my things, my purse, or anything. So we had to go to a shelter, and Denton County Friends of the Family helped me get into a shelter for a little bit and get away from that area. And I got my children back. Thank you, Denton County Friends of the Family, for that, and the donators that help with the organization. You don't know how much this seed that you planted into our life, my children's life, has what it's done. And not only is this my journey, this is your journey, and this will be others' journeys. And those seeds will grow and flourish, and I'll be able to help others because of what you've done and what you give, your time, your talents, your patience. I just can't express how much you guys have done. You've helped me with clothes for school, for kids, their backpacks. You've helped with Christmas clothes. And my children are truly happy again. They have this peace, and they're not worried about a man coming in and hurting them. And I remember one time when we moved into the safe place that they had us move into, we were packing up to go see our friends in another city. And my children said to me, "Mommy, are we moving again?" Because we moved over 50 times in the last 5 years. And I was like, "No, this is our home. We're not moving no more." And that peace that gave my children, it brings me joy, because that's what they deserve. They deserve to be happy, loved, and not see the violence, because that cycle will continue. It won't stop unless you start it and make it stop. Because from the beginning of my life to recently, it was a cycle, a generational thing. You have to be willing and open to want this for you and your family. You don't deserve this. Your children don't deserve this. And there's a way out, and there's a way that you can regain freedom and peace in your life. So I pray this blesses all that listens. And I thank you, Denton Friends of the Family, and everyone who has been impacted in my life, in my children's life, to bring me to this place that I am today, and my children to this place of peace, love, joy, and serenity. Thank you so much.
So I hope you've enjoyed things just this far. I want to take this opportunity to thank some of our sponsors, or all of them who've participated today, whether you were a sponsor at any level, or you were also those who have donated and contributed to our silent auction. I want to thank each of you for your participation. We have so many people working behind the scenes to make this event happen. I want to thank you all for your participation. We couldn't do this without you. And you stepped up in a time when this is such uncertainty in our world and things look so very different. And you couldn't come out and even enjoy and face to face and see people, but you stepped up anyway. And I'm forever grateful for that. Our silent auction will close tomorrow, October 9th at 5 p.m. So you want to click, 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 bid, bid, bid. Don't stop bidding. Don't stop clicking. And it's really fun if you see, like, maybe if your friend is bidding on something, to outbid them. That makes it even more fun. It's all going for a wonderful cause. So I thank you, and let's continue to keep the auction going, and let's see how high we can get those bids all the way through 5 p.m. tomorrow, October 9th. Thank you.
Hi, I'm State Senator Jane Nelson, and I am so happy to be celebrating the 40th anniversary of Denton County Friends of the Family. I'm so grateful for this organization, which is near and dear to my heart because we share a common mission: protecting victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. There was a time when women were discouraged from talking about this issue. The stigma prevented countless victims from seeking help. It's not the case anymore, but we still have more work to do. Domestic abuse crosses every race, creed, and socioeconomic barrier. It is happening in every community across Texas, including our own. Denton County Friends of the Family serves as a lifeline to hundreds of women right here in Denton County who need the services they provide: shelter, counseling, food, and most of all, a renewed sense of hope. We know stay-at-home orders and school closures are causing a strain on families, and unfortunately, that sometimes results in conflict. We also know there are people being abused who find it even more difficult to consider a way to escape an abusive situation with their abuser spending more time at home. I'm so thankful to learn that you are offering texting capabilities and finding ways for victims to discreetly seek the help they need. COVID-19 has brought many things to a halt, but not Denton County Friends of the Family. You have never stopped helping people, and I am right there beside you. As chair of the Senate Finance Committee, I am working to maintain funding for shelters, rape crisis centers, and other services that victims need. We have cut red tape for social workers and counselors to keep up their licenses, and through a bill that I authored last session, we are using telemedicine to ensure that sexual assault victims receive compassionate, expert forensic care from sexual assault nurses so that we have the evidence necessary to take predators off our streets. One of the most difficult parts of this pandemic is not being able to physically be in a room with people who mean so much to me, and that includes every one of you working to help domestic violence victims in Denton County. You are the frontline workers, and I salute you. I appreciate you. And on behalf of the Texas Senate, I am proud to present to you this certificate recognizing Denton County Friends of the Family on 40 years of dedicated public service. Happy anniversary, and thank you for what you do.
Hi, I'm so excited to join you tonight at the 40th year anniversary gala for Denton County Friends of the Family. I'm Donna Bloom. I'm the Director of Legal Services. 40 years, it's a really long time. I've been here for 13, and I can tell you I have seen thousands of families moved from crisis to confidence in that time. But you don't have to take it from me, because you're going to hear from a few survivors tonight. One that's going to follow me in a moment, Crystal. She's here to share her story to help that next mom and kids that shows up on the doorstep of our emergency shelter. You know, the work we do is people intensive, it's time intensive, and it's costly. but we are excellent stewards of the financial contributions that our community makes. We make $1 go a really long way. Did you know that we can feed every mother and child in our emergency shelter for a month on $1,000? That if every person attending tonight made a one-time $65 contribution right now, we could provide play therapy services to all of the kids in our shelter and all of the kids that come to our outreach offices for therapy. If you made a $750 contribution tonight, you would help those advocates or legal services, attorneys and paralegals, help those victims navigate the real complexity of their situation, like Crystal's. You'll hear about it tonight. I can tell you that the best part of my job is sitting down and meeting with the victim, either in person or right now during the pandemic through Zoom, looking her in the eyes and saying, you know what? I know you're really scared. I know you think you're gonna lose your kids because he told you you would, but we can help you. We can help you navigate this, and we can represent you. And she'll look at me, and it happens a lot. She'll tear up and she'll say, but how much is that gonna cost? And because of you, and because of your contributions, I get to look her in the eye and say, it's not gonna cost you anything, because there are people in this community in Denton County that care about you, that want you to be safe and want your kids to be safe. Thank you so much. Every dollar you give helps us communicate that message day after day after day, and I'm grateful.
Hi, my name is Crystal. I am 37 years old and I am a survivor of domestic violence. 2015, I decided to leave my domestic violence situation when I left my ex-husband with my 2.5-year-old and my 9-month-old. It was really scary. I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money. I tried to leave before, but I didn't know about any resources or a way to do it because I felt trapped. There's this misconception that people who are in abusive situations stay because they want to, but they don't understand that the abuser puts us in a situation where we don't have money and we feel like we don't have the resources, and we definitely don't have the confidence to be able to make that move for ourselves. So there's this stigma that we just like it that way, or we're helpless or we're weak. But the truth is that that's all from the abuser, and it's just something that we have to work on once we're finally able to break free. And thankfully for Denton County Friends of the Family, I was able to have a place to go where my abuser couldn't find me, and where I was able to have a safe roof over my head and tons of resources for myself and my children. So in March of 2015, I finally got the courage. I had people where I lived down in South Texas who knew of the place here through another resource there for me to come to. So I packed everything I could in my car, all the important documents and the necessities to live on, and waited for my ex-husband to work all day. I left a note, sent a text message. I didn't tell him face-to-face I was leaving. I didn't give him any clue because I'd tried that route before, and every time he made it impossible to leave. He'd take one of the kids or he'd call the police. It's a feeling of breaking free, but also just really scary because you have no idea if you're actually going to be able to go through with being independent, being a single parent. Nobody ever thinks about being a single parent when they become a parent or when they get married. You don't think that that's going to be your situation, but that's where I was. So it was just scary. But I headed down the road, called the crisis center. It's available 24/7. They answered the phone. They said they had room for my kids and I at the shelter. So they met me at a police station in Denton because the location is totally hidden, and that's to keep the victims safe. That's so that there's no way to find us, because a lot of times the abusers will come after you. And that's the reason why we choose to go to that place. I could have easily gone to my family's house, but he knew all those locations and he would come looking for me, and it definitely wouldn't have been a good situation. So this was a safe place for us to go. When we got there, we were welcomed with open arms by the representatives. We had plenty of resources. The next day, I was able to meet with case manager, and we were able to get some legal stuff going, some counseling set up, I received some money to be able to go to the store to get a few items and just get me set up on my way. I got stuff like healthcare and food benefits and stuff set up through the advocate. The legal team was able to get me crime victims compensation, which got me a little bit of cash, which was used to be able to put a deposit on an apartment later. And then just everything I needed to get on my way to this new life without my abuser. And there were so many times where I might have given in had I tried to do this on my own, but I felt very empowered because I had, you know, this case manager who was nothing but encouraging, and an advocate that went with me to court because we filed, I don't remember what it's called, but we filed something so that I could have temporary custody of the kids. And my advocate went with me. If I had gone by myself facing my abuser, I think, you know, I would have been a total mess and I would have looked weak and been in a situation where, you know, I might have panicked and not gone through with it. But I had this advocate by my side from Denton County Friends of the Family, and that just gave me the push that I needed. And the lawyer was amazing. Donna Bloom, I will never forget her. She is, I believe, head of the legal team, and she does a phenomenal job with it all. Her words are very encouraging, and she just makes you feel like you just have this just power. I mean, that you can't get by yourself, but it's just very empowering to have a woman like that to help you get everything together that you need for this new life. So I was able to find a resource through Denton County Friends of the Family to provide a living space for my kids and I, a transitional type housing, but all it was an apartment. And so I was able to go through this other program and get set up with rent paid and everything like that, and then able to get a job from there and do it all on my own. And now 5 years later, I don't even need any type of assistance. I have 3 children. The 2 kids that I left with are now 8 and 6. They go to a great school. We live in a great neighborhood. We live in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a large backyard. And despite not receiving help from my ex-husband, I am able to work hard and provide everything my kids need. They're happy. They're thriving. I've received counseling, gone through recovery, and all of that is thanks to Denton County Friends of Family. They made all the recommendations. Once my daughter was old enough, she did some play therapy. And I can't say thank you enough. My life is forever changed because of Denton County Friends of the Family.
Watching the 2 political conventions in August has shown me how hard it is to give a speech without a crowd. But since there is no gala tonight, this is the outfit you get. But the Denton County Friends of the Family is celebrating their 40th year, and the work they do is too important for me not to at least try. I unfortunately know too much about domestic violence and sexual assault. I was raped when I was 10 years old on a baseball field in Logan, Iowa. I know the exact spot it happened, but then it's only been 62 years. My daughter was raped while she was a student at North Texas, raped by a friend, as most women are. I didn't report my rape. She didn't want to report hers, but unlike me, she had people who were willing and able to help. The coronavirus has put so many people out of work, has shut down so many businesses and organizations. I only wish that we could shut down Friends of the Family, but we can't, because there's no cure for the disease of domestic violence and sexual assault either. And since this pandemic has come to America, the calls for help in Denton County have more than doubled. 1 in 4 women is or will be a victim of domestic violence. 445,000 women in Denton County, more than 111,000 will need our help. And 90% of the victims of domestic violence don't even bother to call. This is a disease in our community that doesn't have a geographic boundary. It's a problem in the north, the south, the east, and the west. It has no color. It has no ethnic identity. It follows every religion, and in some cases, no religion at all. It is a disease among the richest people in our county and among the poorest people in our county. Somehow, some way, we have lost sight of the fact that real men, gentlemen, don't hit women. My dad hit my mom once, at least only once that I know about. My dad was a huge man, a truck driver. He was 6'3", weighed 280 pounds with a flat belly. And his arms were so big, his biceps were bigger than some men's legs. And he broke my mom's nose. Never has such a big man looked so small in the eyes of a little boy. We went to my grandfather's house because there was no one else to call, but at least we had family. What about all the women who don't? This organization, the Denton County Friends of the Family, is that refuge in the darkness where the women and children can get the help they need, but only if you're willing to help. They can't do it alone. They need your help now. I know it's not popular to quote liberals in Texas, but I am one, so what the heck? Former Senator Ted Kennedy once said, "We know the future will outlast all of us, but we live on in the future we make." We know the future will outlast all of us, but we live on in the future we make. And we start making that better future tonight. We send the message together that we will not accept it anymore. We will not allow it anymore. We will not defend it anymore. We will not look away. We will not turn away. We will not allow the abuse anymore. We will not excuse the abuse anymore. We come together tonight to tell the world domestic violence and the sexual assault of our women and men will stop. But until it does, the Denton County Friends of the Family will be there to help. Please join me and Denton County Friends of the Family tonight in picking up the purple ribbon to show your support of victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. And then we live on in that better future we make together.
Denton County Friends of the Family make the world a better place.
I'm Chief of Police Frank Dixon with the Denton Police Department. I want to talk to you just for a quick moment about why you should support Denton County Friends of the Family like I do. Having been in law enforcement for over 25 years, I know firsthand how devastating one of these crimes can be to men or women involved in domestic violence. What I'm most proud of working with Denton County Friends of the Family is not only do they help us in keeping our survivors engaged throughout the process, but they help us proactively prevent furtherance of family violence, in those cases where we can potentially stop someone from escalating the violence in their home. I would ask that you join me in supporting Denton County Friends of the Family. And if you know someone that's in need of resources or help, if they don't want to reach out, please be that voice for them, because it literally could mean the difference between life and death.
Hi, I'm Gary Henderson, President and CEO of United Way of Denton County. Congratulations, Denton County Friends of the Family, on 40 incredibly successful and important years. We're honored for 38 of those 40 years. We've been partners. As partner agencies to each other, we've been walking with you side by side. We know each other so well. We know the important work you've done, the lives you've touched, the lives you've changed, the lives you've saved. We wish you 40 more years of success, and we're just honored to be your partner. Thank you for the work you do. Thank you to your donors. Thank you to your board members for all of those 40 years who have built you and prepared you to serve our community. Congratulations.
I support Denton County Friends of the Family because as someone that experienced relationship violence as a young woman, I understand the importance of having an organization like this in our community. Availability of resources can mean life or death for someone in need. Denton County Friends of the Family provides education, legal services, counseling, and shelter for those individuals and families experiencing violence. Without Denton County Friends of the Family in our community, we would be mourning more victims instead of building survivors. And that is why I cannot think of a better organization to support than Denton County Friends of the Family.
Hi y'all, it's Detective John Thacker with the Conning Police Department. I wanted to let everyone know at Denton County Friends of the Family, we highly support them. They're a wonderful nonprofit organization to work for and work with. Y'all stay safe.
I'm Denton County Commissioner Bobby Mitchell. I believe working together, shelters, affiliated programs, and concerned individuals can change the social attitude and the response to relationship violence and sexual assault.
Good afternoon. I'm Charlotte Wilcox, Mayor of City of Highland Village, and today I'm here to tell you why I support Denton County Friends of the Family. They are dedicated to providing compassionate, comprehensive services to those impacted by domestic violence and sexual assault, all the while partnering with our communities to promote safety, hope, healing, justice, and prevention. Please join me in congratulating the Denton County Friends of the Family on their 40th anniversary.
Hi, I'm Paul Johnson. I'm your criminal district attorney in Denton County, and I want to congratulate Friends of the Family for over 40 years of service. What Friends of the Family mean to me is they are lifesavers to victims of domestic violence, especially children. Their lives are upside down. They don't understand it. It's dealing with loved ones and why somebody's incarcerated or not. Bottom line is Friends of the Family goes in and helps them. And I want to thank you for your services and all that you do.
Women in Gold UNT supports Friends of the Family. NCL Lantana loves Friends of the Family.
Hi, my name is Alicia Recruz. I am the Director of Women's and Human Studies program at the UNT and faculty member in anthropology at the UNT. I support Friends of the Family because I consider it is very important for a society to keep the health of a society, to deal with victims of survivors of domestic violence and abuse and gender oppression. And Friends of the Family does an outstanding job, not only at working with these survivors, but also bringing awareness in the society, which is very important.
That we have each other, and for that we have each other.
And we'll rise up, rise like the day. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up and we'll do it 1,000 times again. For you.
Wow, what a beautiful witness of people in our community who have been so courageous and so helpful to stand up and say why they support Denton County Friends of the Family. 4 decades strong that we've done this work, and we could not have done it without the support of so many community leaders, so many community members. I want to thank our board of directors. If you've ever served on our board of directors over the last 40 years, I thank you. I'm grateful to you. If you're interested in serving, you should reach out to us. Our volunteers, we have more than 600 volunteers a year that come to us and serve and provide over 25,000 hours annually. What an amazing testament about the community that we live in. Our staff, some of the most hardworking people who do this work every single day. And who knew we'd ever have a choir? Lori's joy and the beauty of them. So I thank you, and it's with great honor and privilege that I announce that while 40 years has been filled with so many milestones and so many wonderful occasions, so many challenges, as we go forward, we look forward into year 41 of starting with anew and planning for our next home. With the generosity and support of the Razor Family Foundation, Denton County Friends of the Family will locate to have a new home. We will start kicking off for a capital campaign over the next year, and be prepared to join us as we celebrate our new home, which will be a family justice center. A family justice center will serve as a one-stop shop, so to speak, for victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. They can come there and have not only access to all the Friends of the Family services, whether it be legal or counseling or advocacy, all of those various things, but also can have access to emergency shelter and transitional housing in one location, and can have so many of our many valuable community partners that will come and join us, whether it be law enforcement, it will be mental health providers, all of those various partners that we find essential in serving victims of domestic violence will now be located in one home. So we look forward to sharing with you more visions about the Family Justice Center. We're forever grateful to the Razor Family Foundation, who has chose to kick off this grand occasion with their very generous gift. And we look forward to marching forward, and let's look and see what year 41 brings as we come and start to celebrate the decades that are before us. Friends of the Family is a wonderful and invaluable institution in this community. We continue to rise up every single year to serve thousands of people, to be there at a time when families have needed us, and we can't do it without you. So I look forward to your partnership in joining us, and for those who choose to step forward and stand with victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. I thank you. Good evening. And I bid you all very safe health and Godspeed.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we're gonna walk it out. Ooh.
mountains. We're gonna walk it out. Mountains.
And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again.
And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the eggs. I'll rise up, and I will do it 1,000 times again. For
When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, I know you feel like dying, but I promise you we'll bring it to its feet.
Mountains, we'll take it to its feet. Mountains, and I'll